A Study of Army Camp Life During American Revolution by Mary Hazel Snuff. Introduction. The object of this study is to produce a picture of the private soldier of the American Revolution as he lived, ate, was punished, played, and worshipped in the Army camp. Drawing that picture not only from the standpoint of the Continental Congress, the body which made the rules and regulations for governing the Army, or from the officers' viewpoint as they issued orders from headquarters rather than just a study of the soldier himself in the camp conditions and his reaction to them. It was easy for Congress to determine the rations or for the Commander-in-Chief to issue orders about housing conditions and sanitation, but the opportunities for obeying those orders were not always the best. It is just that fact, not what was intended, but what happened, that is to be discussed. The soldier in camp is an aspect of the Revolutionary War which has been taken up only in a very general way by writers of that period of history, except perhaps the condition at Valley Forge, for at least their terrible side is quite generally known. Charles Knowles Bolton has studied the private soldier under Washington, but has emphasized other phases of the soldier's life than those taken up in this study. The material has been gathered mostly from letters, journals, orderly books, and diaries of the officers and privates written while in camp. The difficulty confronted has been to get the diaries of the private soldier. They have either not been published, or if they have been published, they have been edited in such a way as to make them useless for a study of social conditions in camp, the emphasis having been placed on the military operations and tactics rather than the everyday incidents in the soldier's life. The soldier has been studied after he went into camp. Little has been said about the conditions which led to the war, or the conditions as they were before the struggle began, except as they are used to explain existing facts. It has been the plan in most of the chapters to give a brief resume of the plans made by Congress or the Commander-in-Chief for the working out of that particular part of the organization, then to describe the conditions as they really were. There has been no attempt made, for it would be an almost impossible task, to give a picture of the life in all the camps, but rather the more representative phases have been described, or conditions in general have been discussed. The first phase of camp life considered is that of the housing conditions, the difficulties encountered, the description of the huts, the method of construction, and the furnishing. This is followed in the second chapter with a study of the food and clothing, the supply and scarcity of those necessities. The third chapter will have to do with the health and sanitation of the soldier while encamped, the hospital system, the number sick, the diseases most prevalent, and the means of prevention. The soldier's leisure time will be the subject of the fourth chapter, the sort of recreation he had been in the habit of at home, and the ways he found of amusing